She didn't leave you overnight. She left you slowly, and you smiled through all of it. Here's something nobody tells you about attraction psychology. Interest doesn't die in a fight. It doesn't end with a conversation. It doesn't even end with a breakup. It ends in silence, in the gaps between messages, in the moments she used to reach for you and didn't. Emotional detachment in relationships doesn't look like hatred. It looks like indifference. And indifference is the slow poison you don't taste until it's already working. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what female behavior looks like when the attraction is fading, the 10 signs she lost interest, often months before she says a word about it. Some of these will hit differently than you expect. Stay with me. Sign 01. She stops investing emotionally. At the start of a relationship, she was generous with herself. She remembered the small things you said. She brought up your problems before you did. She made space for your world inside hers. Then one day, quietly, almost invisibly, she stopped. Not dramatically. She didn't announce it. She just withdrew. The emotional investment dried up. The effort became one-sided. And you probably told yourself she was just busy, stressed, tired. But here's the truth about attraction psychology. Women don't lose energy for the things they care about. They lose energy for the things they've already emotionally moved on from. Psychological principle. Emotional investment is the leading indicator of romantic interest. Before a woman leaves physically, she leaves emotionally. This is called emotional withdrawal, and it almost always precedes full detachment by weeks, sometimes months. Think back. She used to ask about your day and actually listen. She'd follow up on things you mentioned. She remembered your friend's name, your job stress, your dreams. When did she stop asking? That's when the clock started. Sign 02. Conversations become dry and one-sided. You remember when talking to her felt effortless. Hours would pass and neither of you noticed. There was this magnetic pull in every conversation. She laughed, she opened up, she asked questions that made you feel like the most interesting person alive. Now, you're doing all the heavy lifting. You ask a question, she gets a short answer. You try to build on it, she doesn't follow. The conversation dies and you resurrect it, again and again, like CPR on something that stopped breathing a long time ago. One-sided conversations in dating psychology aren't just awkward, they're a signal. She's no longer curious about you, and curiosity is the lifeblood of attraction. Psychological principle. Reciprocal curiosity drives romantic bonding. When that curiosity fades, so does the emotional connection. If you're the only one building bridges, you're the only one who still wants to get to the other side. You send a long message sharing something exciting. She replies, "That's cool." You stare at the screen. You type more. You try harder. You're confused because 6 weeks ago, she would have sent a voice note, laughing, dying to hear everything. Sign 03. She replies late or not at all. You've seen the timestamp, the delivered, then nothing. Hours go by. You check your phone. You tell yourself she's busy. You don't double text. Good. But you can't stop thinking about it. When she finally responds, there's no apology, no explanation. Just a late reply that feels like an afterthought. Because it was. Here's the thing about response time in attraction psychology. People respond quickly to what matters to them. Always. She has the same 24 hours you do. She's responding to other messages. She's on her phone. She's just not on your conversation. And that is a choice, even if it doesn't feel like one to her. Psychological principle. Response latency is a behavioral signal. In early attraction, response speed is rapid because dopamine is driving the behavior. As interest fades, the dopamine response to your name diminishes. She no longer gets a rush when she sees your message. You've shifted from priority to background noise. She leaves your message on read for 4 hours. Then you see she posted a story. She had time. She had her phone. You weren't the priority. That information matters. Sign 04. Her attention has shifted somewhere else. This one is subtle, and it stings when you see it. She's suddenly posting more. She's dressing differently. She's going out more often. She seems energized, excited, just not around you. That energy she used to pour into your relationship, it's still there. It's just pointed in a different direction. Attention shift is one of the telling signs in female behavior. Where the attention goes, the interest follows. She might even tell you she's been super social lately, or focusing on herself, and maybe she is, but pay attention to whether that energy ever comes back home, to you, or whether home stopped feeling like something she wants to return to. Psychological principle. In attraction psychology, attention is finite and directed by desire. When romantic interest fades, the brain begins reallocating attention towards new stimuli, new people, new environments, new possibilities. It's not always conscious, but it's always real. She used to spend Friday nights with you without a second thought. Now she's out with friends you've never heard of, posting pictures that look like she's auditioning for a new version of her life, one that doesn't seem to have you in the frame. Sign 05. She stops bringing up the future. There was a time she talked about us in future tense, where you'd travel together, what your apartment might look like, that concert in March she already assumed you both would go to. Future planning in relationships is one of the clearest signals of emotional commitment. When someone sees you in their future, they naturally pull you into it, in conversation, in plans, in their imagination. When she stops doing that, it means a simple thing. She no longer pictures it. Not because she's angry, not because she's hurt, because she's already, subconsciously or consciously, started building a future that doesn't include you. Psychological principle. Future-oriented thinking in romantic relationships is driven by what psychologists call relationship investment. When investment drops, so does the emotional projecting of a shared future. It's one of the earliest internal signs of emotional detachment, and one of the last ones most men notice. She used to say, "We should go there someday." Now she talks about things she wants to do, solo, plans she's thinking about, trips, goals, and not once does she say we. Listen for that. The absence of we is deafening. Sign 06. Physical and emotional closeness disappears. Slower pace here. This one is intimate and painful, respected. Touch is one of the most honest languages in a relationship. It doesn't lie. When a woman is attracted to you, truly attracted, she gravitates toward you. She reaches for your hand without thinking. She leans in when you're talking. She finds reasons to be physically close, even when it would be just as easy to keep distance. Watch what happens when interest fades. The space between you grows. Not because she's cold. She might still laugh, still talk, still be fine, but the unconscious pull toward you is gone. She doesn't reach anymore. And when you reach, it's accepted, not initiated. That distinction between welcomed and initiated is everything in attraction psychology. Psychological principle. Physical closeness and emotional intimacy are deeply linked. As emotional detachment sets in, oxytocin bonding behaviors naturally decrease. She doesn't consciously decide to stop touching you. Her nervous system just stops sending the signal that says move closer. The body follows the heart. You're sitting next to each other watching a movie, the same thing you've done 100 times, but this time she doesn't move closer. She doesn't put her head on your shoulder. There's 6 inches between you that feel like 6 miles, and you feel it, even if you don't say it. Sign 07. She stops seeking your validation. When a woman is invested in you, your opinion matters to her. She shows you new things. She wants to know what you think. She sends you music, articles, outfits, ideas, because your reaction means something. The day she stops caring what you think is the day you've lost your relevance in her emotional world. She posts something without wondering if you'll see it. She makes decisions without asking your take. She doesn't run things by you anymore, not because she's independent, but because your opinion no longer carries weight. In dating psychology, validation seeking is a sign of emotional attachment. When it vanishes, so has the attachment. Psychological principle. Seeking validation from a partner is a behavioral expression of emotional investment. It signals, You matter to me. I want to be seen by you. When that behavior disappears, it means the emotional reliance, the invisible thread of connection, has been quietly cut. She used to send you voice notes asking what you thought of something she wrote, wore, or said. Now she's posting, deciding, moving, and you find out after the fact. You're no longer in the loop. You've become an observer of her life, not a participant. Sign 08. Small annoyances become big problems. Here's one that catches most men completely off guard. The things she used to find charming are now irritating. Your habits, your jokes, the way you talk, the things you say. She used to laugh at them or ignore them entirely. Now they seem to bother her more than they should. This isn't random. This is attraction psychology in reverse. When a woman is falling for someone, her brain filters out flaws. Love, or even strong attraction, literally makes people more tolerant. It's neurological. The more attached she is, the more forgiving her perception of you is. As emotional detachment sets in, that filter lifts. The same behaviors that once seemed harmless now create friction. And the irritation she feels isn't really about those behaviors. It's a symptom of an emotional distance she hasn't voiced yet. Psychological principle. This is known as the love filter effect. The brain's limbic system, when activated by attachment, literally suppresses negative judgments about a partner. As emotional detachment increases, that suppression weakens. What changes isn't you, it's her neurological response to you. You're sitting next to each other watching a movie, the same thing you've done 100 times, but this time she doesn't move closer. She doesn't put her head on your shoulder. There's 6 inches between you that feel like 6 miles, and you feel it, even if you don't say it. Sign 09. She stops seeking your validation. Here's one that hits deep. Slow it down. Here's something most men don't realize until it's too late. When a woman still cares, truly cares, she fights. Not necessarily with you, but for the relationship. She calls out problems because she wants them fixed. She gets emotional because she's still emotionally present. The most dangerous silence in a relationship isn't anger, it's peace. When peace comes from not caring anymore. When she stops bringing up issues, when disagreements are met with, "it's fine," instead of a real conversation, when she seems unmoved by things that would have upset her before, that's not growth. That's emotional withdrawal dressed up as calm. She stopped fighting because she's stopped believing there's something worth fighting for. Psychological principle. Conflict avoidance in relationships, when combined with other signs of emotional detachment, indicates that a person has emotionally disinvested from the relationship. Fighting requires caring. Silence, in this context, isn't resolution, it's resignation. You do something that would have started a long emotional conversation a month ago. She shrugs. Whatever. Something in your stomach drops. Not because of the shrug, but because you remember how much she used to care, and now she doesn't. And you'd almost prefer the fight. Sign 10. Your gut already knows. Most personal, most direct, eye contact with camera, almost a whisper at points. This is the one nobody talks about, because it's not a behavior, it's not a pattern you can track, it's something deeper. You feel it, you felt it, that hollow, low-grade anxiety sitting in your chest, that thing you can't name but you can't shake. The sense that something shifted, even though nothing obvious changed. The way you now look for signs in everything she says, because something in you already suspects the answer. Your gut is not dramatic. It is not insecure. It's a finely tuned instrument that has been reading her energy long before your conscious mind caught up. In dating psychology and relationship advice, we often talk about red flags and behavioral patterns, but the most reliable signal? The one inside you. The one you've been explaining away, the one you came to this video to confirm. Stop arguing with it. Start listening to it. Psychological principle. Intuition in interpersonal relationships is not mystical. It's the brain's subconscious processing of hundreds of microsignals, tone shifts, eye contact changes, micro-expressions, timing cues. Your gut is just your brain talking faster than your thoughts, and it is rarely wrong about this. You're lying next to her and everything looks fine from the outside, but you feel alone in a way you can't explain. You reach for your phone instead of for her. She does the same. You're two people in the same bed, already living separate lives, and you both know it. Neither of you says it yet. So why does this happen? Why does interest fade, even in relationships that started with real fire? Here's what attraction psychology actually tells us. Romantic interest is sustained by three core elements: mystery, emotional connection, and perceived value. Remove any one of them and the foundation starts to erode. Mystery is what made her curious about you in the beginning. When everything's known, when there's no more unfolding, the brain stops releasing novelty-driven dopamine. Familiarity can breed comfort, but it can also breed invisibility. Emotional connection requires consistent, meaningful investment from both people. When one person stops showing up fully, the other slowly stops having someone to connect with. The bond doesn't break dramatically, it thins, like a rope with fraying threads, still holding, until it isn't. Perceived value, and I want to be careful with this one, is not about playing games. It's about whether she still sees you as someone who has direction, presence, and self-respect. When a man becomes too available, too predictable, or loses his own sense of self inside the relationship, the perceived value drops, and with it, the attraction. None of this means you failed. None of this means she's a villain. It means relationships are living things. They need tending. And sometimes, despite everything, they still fade. The question is never, why did she lose interest? The more important question is, what do you do now that you know? The hardest truth in love psychology isn't that she lost interest. It's that you felt it happening and you chose hope over honesty. That's not weakness. That's human. We all do it. We hold on to what was because letting go of it means admitting that something beautiful is over. And that takes a kind of courage most people don't talk about. But here's what I want you to take from this. Knowing the signs isn't about pain. It's about clarity. And clarity, as uncomfortable as it is always where growth begins. So wherever you are right now, whether this confirmed a fear, answered a question, or helped you understand something you couldn't put into words, I want you to sit with it. Don't react immediately. Don't spiral. Just know. You can't fix what you refuse to see, but once you see it, everything changes. If this helped you think more clearly about love psychology and relationship advice, subscribe, because every week we go deeper into the psychology of human behavior, attraction, and what it actually means to understand yourself and the people in your life. Drop a comment. Tell me which sign hit hardest. I read every one.